So here I am in my kitchen. You can hear the dishwasher behind me, and I am getting ready to make some Never Fail Fudge. Never Fail Fudge literally came off the package of some marshmallow fluff like ever ago, and the only time it has failed is when I was in a pan that was too small or in a pan that had a bottom that was too thin. And it's super easy. You just combine the first 5 ingredients, which are salt, butter, evaporated milk, fluff, and sugar. You basically heat it up, bring it to a boil, let it boil for 5 minutes to soft ball stage. So sometimes if you have a candy thermometer, it'll tell you where it is. And take it off the heat, add in the chocolate or peanut butter chips or butterscotch chips or whatever chips you want to use, and some vanilla, and it's done. So I started out and I get everything thrown in a pot. I still need to add the milk and the puff, but I need the dishwasher to finish to get my stir spoon, and we're gonna make some fudge. So I have all my ingredients in the bowl, and I used to freak out about the spoon having so much fluff on it till up all the way up there, but as this boils and grows, like, all that's going to be covered anyway. So here's to the stirring process. One of the great things about fudge is that you don't really have to babysit it in the beginning. Once it's combined, you turn up the heat to a moderate heat. So I do like a 5 or a 6 on my electric stove. But while you're not babysitting it, I had time to grease my pan that it's going to go into. This is not something you want to try to do at the end. Your fudge will set in the pan. And I've also got my vanilla open with what I need to put in it, and also my chocolate chips, because once it's ready and you want to immediately put it in. And then once it comes to a boil, then you will stir it for 5 minutes, and I'll try to show you a little bit of when it's at a boil. And that's when you're going to babysit it. And you also want to make sure you get the full bottom of the pan, because you don't want any of this stuff sticking. Burnt sugar is not yummy in your fudge. Something you don't want to do is be impatient when it comes to boiling fudge. So you see a lot of little air bubbles in here. That is not boiling. These cute little bubbles, it's starting to boil, but we're not boiling yet. So we're just going to keep stirring. Usually what you'll see happen is you'll start to see some rings of caramelized sugar. So dark lines start forming in, and you've not burned the sugar, but you're working on caramelizing the sugar. So don't be impatient when it comes to boiling. It's only been a few moments, but now you can see that it is actually starting to boil. All of those things are popping, so I'm just going to set my kitchen timer to 5 minutes. We're going to go to a softball stage, and now we get to babysit it. And this says you got to stir it constantly. Again, you do not want burnt sugar. You'll notice that this pan's bigger than a pan that I would normally use. I remember doing this, making fudge in a double boiler with my mom when I was a kid. But you'll see that it's already like halfway up my spoon, and it's just going to keep rising. And then I'll show you guys again when we hit softball stage. So this is softball stage. My timer just went off. You'll see it's bubbly. It is a temperature of 235 degrees Fahrenheit. So you'll note that you just cooked your turkey to 180 degrees Fahrenheit, and my thermometer doesn't even go up to 235. You really do need a candy thermometer. And then I've got a pad right over here. We're supposed to take it off the heat. One way that I can tell is it's really foamy. And then again, you're wanting to stir constantly and get the bottom. And if you've got a partner who can help you dump in the vanilla and the chocolate chips, that's great, but not a requirement. You just want to make sure you don't get it too high and get it to hardball stage. So the disadvantage with a pan this big is that it heats up more of it faster, but you'll see how nice it flows into the pan. This pan is rather heavy too. And it just flows right in. Maybe a little leftovers. And then if you wanted to add nuts, you can add nuts on top. Some people like their fudge with nuts, some people don't. And we have just made our first batch of fudge for the season. This is the dessert that I am known for, and I put it in a 9x13 pan. And if you can find something to scrape it with that's not been used, you can get the excess off your spoon as well. Thanks for joining me. There's certainly an art to cutting fudge. You can cut it too soon, you can cut it too late. I mean, it's just sugar. So sometimes if you cut it when it has set overnight, it can be really hard and maybe cracks a little. I like to use a plastic knife. They've done me well. Probably growing up we had a Teflon 8.5x11 pan, so that's part of it. If you do have Teflon, make sure you're not using a metal knife. So it's just been a little while, and fudge is so sweet. You really only need tiny squares. If you cut it too early, you'll notice that it will just sort of squish a little, but plastic doesn't really stick to the knife, which is nice, or the fudge doesn't stick to the plastic knife. Sometimes with a metal knife it can stick. You can tell my pan is well greased because it's just spreading. And you just sort of cut your pan into small squares. There is a little bit of cracking going on even though it's still quite warm. I did take my apron off for this because it's not super messy. And then you can just cover and leave out on your counter with foil. I'm probably just going to use a dish towel so that no cat hair gets in there because we live with a cat and nobody wants to eat fudge with cat hair. So hopefully you've made some great fudge and you'll post a picture below. Thanks everyone. If you like what you see, subscribe and I'll catch you soon. Bye.